This is my introduction to the Ocean City, New Jersey Beach Patrol. These are on each beach. They're dragged down in the morning so you can watch the bathers, and they're dragged back at night. But you'll hear me talking about this. This is a gift from my grandchildren to remind me of who I used to be. Part 2. My civilian life begins. Trading places. It actually should be named trading uniforms. I must be the uniform type. I just can't get along without a uniform of some kind. Did you ever notice that I always have some kind of a weird t-shirt on? I actually wore these things once. I'm doing it now just to let you know the different stages of my life. Ocean City Beach Patrol. The A House, Ocean City, New Jersey, where Aunt Bert finally retired. Uncle Connie passed away. That's later on. I had finally arrived after an honorable discharge back home in Mount Airy with Aunt Bert and Uncle Connie's home on Nippon Street in the winter of 1958. I was a lean, mean, green uniformed machine. Grandma Dewey passed away while I was in the Marine Corps, and my brother Jimmy had also moved in with Aunt Bert and Uncle Connie. You can tell by the look on my face, that was not a happy moment. It wasn't long before life started getting crowded again around the edges. We had our own rooms, and I felt like an ordinary, insignificant civilian. I went from the best job I ever had that was ever created for an American warrior to the lowest level computer nerd at a massive insurance company in downtown Philadelphia. Wayne, you remember him, my first grade buddy, now also honorably discharged as Sergeant Wayne Morrissey, waited an entire year for me to get out of the Marine Corps before he would even look for a job. And as soon as I got out, we went looking, and I got a paperwork type clerical job. Both of us, one at one insurance company, 1 block away from each other, downtown Center City. We traveled each morning and evening as unknown daily commuters with our little hats and our little raincoats on the same train, leaving at the same time from the same station on the Mount Airy computer train. Boring is all I can tell you. Jimmy and I were never meant to live together. He was now a drummer for a jazz band and drove me completely insane practicing at nights in his room with a practice pad. I can still hear it. Eventually, I couldn't stand it another minute, and I moved in with Wayne over a takeaway beer and convenience store up on Germantown Avenue, right in front of the 23 trolley stop. We were in a 3rd floor, 2-room apartment with a bath and a small kitchen. The trolleys were constantly going and were noisy, but anything beat rat-tat-tat-tat, rat-tat-tat-tat on Jimmy's damn practice pads. We each got paid every other Thursday on opposite weeks, so we always had our rent paid on time, and we always had plenty of drinking money for our Thursday night hangout at Crane's Bar in Germantown. It was famous. It was the in crowd. It was the civilian preppy drinking hole. There was always a line outside. We knew the bouncers. Hanging out there changed my entire future and my career path in my life. One spring Thursday night, we met as usual around 9 p.m. with the preppy college boy drinking crowd. Wayne always drank Bellows and soda. I was drinking scotch on the rocks by that time. I missed the Corps and was thrilled to meet new buddies after such intimate bonding with my warrior mates at PI. A guy we knew from the neighborhood named Duke Law was graduating that June from Ursinus College and was going to become a full-fledged medical doctor someday. He constantly regaled us with stories at Crane's about being a lifeguard at Ocean City, New Jersey during the summer holidays all through college. I was intrigued and in awe by his stories. I was laughing my ass off one night and admiring him, and he looked at me and he said, "Tommy, you should go take the test and become a lifeguard at Ocean City, New Jersey. It's the greatest party in the whole world." I was disgusted with civilians, and I bit hard. I used to swim in high school. What do I do? When do I do it? That was my normal response to any new challenge. Wayne was also getting excited about going to college someday. And we both needed a steady income, which meant we couldn't quit our jobs. We both needed a steady job. I had had it with my nerd job experience with my boss, and I quit. I already told you that story. So I was totally out. And I announced at Cranes to Wayne and my new Treppy buddies that I was going to take the Ocean City Beach Patrol lifeguard test in early June and take a temporary painting job doing the hallways and rooms of an entire hotel called the Whitebriar in Avalon. And we would do that until the summer lifeguard season started. Another regular Cranes alumni listening to our tall tales on Thursday nights was a guy named Jimmy Toll. He was a local country club tennis pro. He talked me into joining him in this temporary job painting, and we would play tennis together up and down the coast at all the deserted hotels until the lifeguards started. It worked out perfect. We left Mount Airy for Avalon. We painted the rooms in the hotel, we played tennis, and we won playing for draft beers on the shuffleboard at the Black Eagle Cafe. While back at PI, Jeff Nadu, our sergeant in charge of self-defense and judo, was now famous around the world as an international martial arts champion. A writer and photographer from True magazine, the forerunner of Playboy, came to PI and insisted on doing a story about all the crazy judo instructors teaching hand-to-hand killing to young Marines. He spent 2 weeks down there, filming and staging the shots all over the island. I was filmed diving out of trees, sneaking out of the ocean with my rifle, and other risky combat shots dreamed up by the photographer. We didn't think much about it, and we just enjoyed drinking the cases of beer he bought us after each workout each day. But the Marine Corps thrives on public relations, and we did our job well. The article was to be published in July of 1958. That was the summer I was going to be a lifeguard, after my discharge. I totally forgot about it. I went about my business in Avalon with Jimmy Toll, and we made some money, and I learned a new preppy sport called tennis. Suddenly, it was June. I had to take the lifeguard swimming test, and the water was 55 degrees. It was the Atlantic Ocean. 100 or so applicants for the new lifeguard job showed up, most of whom were already experienced college swimmers, and they were lined up in their fancy Speedo swimsuits and college sweatshirts on a freezing sandy beach at 8 a.m. one freezing weekday morning. They were shaking their muscles and stretching and looking around at everybody else with anticipation. Lieutenant Kennedy, the guy in charge of the official race, was the Ocean City Beach Patrol starter, and he was giving simple instructions. I was over on the side, and finally I asked him, "What do I do?" He knew me. He smiled at me, shivering in my baggy Marine Corps Mickey Mouse shorts, and quipped, "Just swim your heart out, Tommy," pointing to the buoy a quarter-mile out to sea. "And when you go around it, try to get back and land at my feet. The first 18 to reach it will get a job." There were only 18 openings. I hadn't been swimming since my high school days. If you don't count the fully clothed survival training PI as a Marine recruit, I really had no swimming for the last 4 years. I knew for sure this was a very stupid thing I was about to attempt. All my newly acquired Ocean City summer college friends and drinking buddies came by and cheered. They knew I had no chance, but wanted to give me support. We had celebrated the night before over at Summers Point at Tony Mart's Cafe, drinking lots of drafts and having lots of laughs. Good training program for an ex-Marine. I was ready. Bang! The gun went off. I ran into the surf, trying to lift my legs over the large waves until I fell flat forward on my face in the boiling surf. Everyone else went past me. It was a shock, and I tell you, it was freezing cold. I had made friends during the week with some of the older guards who were assigned to rowing the surf boats. And at Tony Mart's the night before, they said, "Tommy, just watch our oars. We'll hold them up in the air and wave to you and point for the way that you should go. Follow our boat out and around the buoy Forget about the other swimmers, just follow us and you might make it. I was desperate. I knew I had to at least finish the race so as not to be embarrassed in front of my new mates. And as they insisted, I focused on their oars when they waved. After I get into the other side of the surf, I was hardly able to lift my arms. I wanted to quit so bad. I was nauseous. I actually threw up in the water. Eventually, I went into a trance of pure shock, and totally exhausted, I rolled over, put myself in zazen, and double arm stroked the rest of the race, out to and around the buoy. I could have cared less who was watching me or who was ahead. All I wanted to do was finish that race. When I turned the buoy, the guys in the boat were screaming and waving at me to hurry. I was dead. I couldn't move my arms or my legs. I was barely moving. I was going in slow motion. Finally, I could feel I was back in the surf. I was choking from the salt water up my nose and burning my eyes. I thought I heard people screaming, pointing at me, directing with hands, oars, and hollers. I looked up, and as I saw a surfboat near me, I woke up from my zazen trance, turned over on my stomach, and stroked and struggled for dear life. Involuntarily, I caught a wave and rolled up on the beach like a log directly at the feet of Lieutenant Kennedy, who smiled as he pointed at me and yelled, 19, and I passed out cold.